if I have some sort of an affliction, this is how bad it is. I made a doctor's appointment for this afternoon. And Daddy doesn't go to the doctor if he doesn't have to. My glands are so swollen in my throat, and my throat is sore, that last night I Googled mumps because what is this affliction? Mumps. Which, have you ever known anybody that has mumps? I don't think I have mumps, by the way. I don't know what's going on. We'll find out.
Nope.
But wasn't mumps one of the things? Well, definitely for you, Lamar, because your mom would have been right at home with the women in my family. Wasn't mumps one of the things she was fixated on?
Mumps was the dreaded one. I mean, chicken pox and measles, as soon as one kid had it, then we had to get in the car and go play with that kid so I could go ahead and get it. But the mumps, if you was going to get the mumps, my mama said, if you want to get the mumps, you need to get the mumps early before you get old. Because once you get up to be like, if you was to get up and get 20 years old or something and you had the mumps, she said they could fall. And if the mumps fall, it's not good. I never asked. What? I just knew I didn't want the mumps. Mean? I did. I've been
trying to keep my boobs from falling. Now I got to worry about my mumps falling.
You know what I love most about this? So Sheri comes in, she tells us before we get started today, she says, all right, here are my symptoms. And she comes to me and Lamar like, we've got a little medical know-how. I appreciate that you think we might know, but really both of us are light on the medical school.
Well, I mean, Lamar's daughter is a vet, and you're a home health aide for Mojo. I thought maybe one of y'all had picked a little something up. You know nothing, Lamar, from having raised a veterinarian? And your son's a doctor, for crying out loud. You got nothing?
Well, because nobody talks about mumps anymore. Now, I'm sitting here looking this up. I think maybe what she might be talking about, if you're a guy, the reason you don't want them to fall is because you get inflammation where they fall. And they fall right where your legs start, okay? So you don't want inflammation of that, I guess.
But how could they fall from that? They're in your neck, right? Aren't they like under your jawbone? And yet they can somehow plunge to your groin?
Your neck and cheeks puff out. That's why I call them mumps. It causes puffy cheeks and all of that. I mean, but
I don't think my cheeks are puffy. I Googled my symptoms, and the internet was not helpful. That's why I ask y'all, you go to the people who love you when you have a problem. You don't go to the internet. I woke up like this, and it's been this way for a couple of days, and it's not getting better, but it's not getting like a whole lot worse except for the swelling in my neck. I have a cankle neck now. Like there's the top of my head, and then there's my chin, and then there's the rest of me. Like my neck is a hot mess.
Okay, I've read this. I've got it.
Okay.
Complications. Here's the deal. When she talks about falling, as long as they're in your face and your jaws are swollen, your neck's swollen, but if they fall, you can have inflammation of the testicles. You can have inflammation of the ovaries. You can have inflammation in the pancreas. I don't want that. Yeah. So when they start falling, it can get into your other organs. That's what she meant by falling, because that's all she ever talked about. If you got the mumps, don't let them fall. Don't let them fall.
So it's the inflammation that falls, not like some swelling in your neck that drops down through your body and lands.
And I think
else.
that's why back then, if you had the mumps, you had to stay in the bed, because if you're laying down, I guess they thought it would be less. If you're walking around, maybe that's. Yeah. Now this has been years ago. I'm sure they've got something better now, but I mean,
I'm gonna tell my doctor this afternoon. I'm gonna say, no, the guys I work with are concerned that my mumps are gonna fall, and I'm just gonna watch his face to see what happens.
Leave us a talk back with the free Bob and Sheri app.
Hi, Bob and Sheri and Lamar. I was just touching on the base of. Well, first off, I've been a long-time listener. My name's Kevin from Sanford, North Carolina. And about the mayonnaise situation, my mom used to eat mayonnaise sandwiches and everything, and she loved them. And she used to ask me to make her mayonnaise sandwiches. And for that matter, I've ate them quite a few times myself. And a banana and mayonnaise sandwich is the best. I don't care what nobody says, that is the best. But I'd like to hear some input on that. But I hope y'all have a wonderful day and everything. And I will continue listening. Thank you, and y'all have a blessed day.
Well, Kevin, thank you. So let me start with my input. A mayonnaise sandwich to me has to have some tomatoes and salt and pepper on it, and then it's the food of the gods. Now, Lamar told me, unless I hallucinated this, which is possible, that he used to eat pineapple in mayonnaise sandwiches. Did I imagine that, Lamar? Am I accusing
crushed
you
canned
falsely?
pineapple. No, crushed canned pineapple. Yeah, my mom.
So
would
not
make
the
that.
pineapple rings.
No,
Okay.
no, we couldn't afford the rings. We got it in the can and drained it out and and run it through the colander and put it on there. See, I'm like you now. Tomato and salt and pepper, that's great. The banana is sort of like a dessert. But for me, all sandwiches are mayonnaise sandwiches. It just depends on what you want to add to it, whether it be meat, vegetables, whatever. But they all should be a mayonnaise sandwich. That's how it's got to start for everything.
See, the king, Elvis Presley, liked mayonnaise, bananas, and burned bacon.
Peanut butter.
But
they ain't peanut butter.
And peanut butter, too.
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't hardly ever make a banana sandwich without mayonnaise on one side and peanut butter on the other. No.
Now, I'll eat a peanut butter and banana sandwich, but the mayonnaise here's what the mayonnaise seems like to me. Like, I've got the peanut butter, I've got the banana, and the mayonnaise is whispering to me, what's a little more fat on that thing? Like, it just seems unnecessary, Lamar, but I'm not arguing with you. It's probably delicious. And even though I've never even considered a world where I ate crushed pineapple mayonnaise sandwiches, I'd be willing to at least try that. I would.
Well, when I hear that little voice of the mayonnaise saying, hey, it's just a little bit more fat, and I go, I agree with you. Let's go. I mean, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. You need to try it one time.
Right, we've got
time.
more mayonnaise talk.
Oh,
yes, Bob and Sheri. Hi, I'm Robbie White, and your show is the best. And he
Robbie,
is right.
girl.
A hot dog is good with mayonnaise. Try it.
Yes. My people are showing up. My people are showing up. So excited. So excited.
I loved her energy about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Bob and Sheri. Hi, I'm Robbie White, and your show is the best. And he is right. A hot dog is good with mayonnaise. Try it.
I love it.
You tell him, Robbie. You tell him. Yes. Yes. Oh, buddy.
Lamar, I think I just had an epiphany about so, I can't eat a hamburger unless it is absolutely blanketed in pickles.
Yes.
And it's that the acid of the pickles that balances all the beefiness. Yeah. I can't eat a hot dog without mustard for the same reason. A hot dog with mayonnaise, it just seems like, what are you, the king? It's so overwhelmingly rich and fatty. I don't know, man.
The Bob and Sheri website, the Oddcast, contest info, bobandsheri.com.
Y'all, we dearly love driving across the United States of America. This trip, Kevin and I put 5,500 miles and some change on that truck because we had a little bit of, when we got to Utah, we had the weekend. And out west, distances are different. So you're like, yeah, we're just going to zip down to Tucson, right? So when we're driving back home, we drop down from Utah into like Page, Arizona, and then we pick up 40 and begin heading east. So you come out of Arizona into New Mexico, and the last town in New Mexico before you cross the Texas state line is Tucumcari. And cannabis is legal in New Mexico. There are dispensaries everywhere, ads for dispensaries, billboards everywhere. And Tucumcari has probably half a dozen of them. Some of them run along the old historic Route 66. And, they have all kinds of clever names like Taos 420 and Dankweed, and talk about getting your kicks on Route 66. But then you come out of New Mexico, you cross the border, you see the Welcome to Texas sign. Your navigation says, entering the state of Texas. And now the billboards are everywhere. And on the billboards are they're giant red gummy bears in handcuffs. Okay. So you got the handcuffed gummy bear and it says, "Welcome to Texas. Now you're a felon. 844 Tex Weed," for this law firm that protects you if you get arrested, because it's legal in New Mexico. And then you step 1 foot over the invisible line and now you're a felon. We drove for 2 hours looking at, every couple of miles, here is this giant red gummy bear with a stupid look on its face in handcuffs. I was like, Kev, this is making me so anxious. Like, we don't have drugs or weapons in this truck, but all these billboards are making me so nervous. And just as I say that, what comes blazing up behind us, lights and sirens wailing? Texas State Highway Patrol. That thing, the speed limit on I-40 there is 75 miles an hour, right? So that car must have been going 100. We finally, it was wailing, Doppler effect into whoa, whoa in the distance. And I was like, oh, somebody's a felon. Somebody's going to get the gummy bear treatment. Sure enough, about a mile and a half later, we pass this red pickup truck that's been pulled over on the side of the road, and it is swarmed with Texas Highway Patrol. The lights are flashing. And as we drove by, I'm looking at this man who's standing outside the truck, and I look at his face and I know, my brother, you are about to join that gummy bear in those handcuffs, aren't you?
Use the Talk Back feature on the free Bob and Sheri app and leave us a message.
Hey guys, it's your biggest fan from Sugar Tree, Tennessee. I wanted to add to the cicada discussion. Cicadas are edible. They actually taste like shrimp, and they are a close kin to the shrimp family. And it's suggested that if you have an allergy to shellfish, not to eat cicadas. And last year, during the big invasion of cicadas, there was a restaurant in New Orleans that set up at the Audubon Insectarium, and they cooked up some cicadas for the people to try there as they were going through and visiting the museum. I don't know if I would try a cicada, but I guess if I was hungry enough. This is your biggest fan from Sugar Tree calling back to add this about eating bugs. When I was a kid, my daddy was outside weed eating, and he come in and he told my mama, he said, if we ever run out of sugar, you could use a grub worm. And Mama looked at him and she said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I hit a grub worm with the weed eater out here by the garden, and it splattered across my face, and he managed to taste it because it went across his mouth, and he said it was sweeter than sugar. I don't advocate eating bugs, but sometimes we got to do what we got to do.
Wow. Where did it go?
I'm queasy on stuff like that. I don't know. And I feel bad about it. I would like to be experimental, but I'm not experimental. I'm just not.
You know why I'm queasy about it? Not because it's a bug. I'm queasy about it because, like, lobsters are arthropods. And you know what else is an arthropod? Cockroach.
Oh.
And yeah.
Okay. See, don't go.
Yeah. And see, the business with like cicadas, don't eat them if you have a shellfish allergy. That's because they're cousins. And once you learn that, you can't unknow it. Like, I wish I could forget that the way I forget that I have an appointment this afternoon. You know what I'm talking about?
Did you not eat lobster? Did you not eat lobster with us in Maine last year?
I did. And I have to, in order to eat it, I have to have a talk with myself beforehand because of my imagination, which is, listen, my imagination is Six Flags over freaking terrible.
Okay.
Did you ever tell the B.O.B. this when he was here, or did you just kind of keep that to yourself?
I didn't, because here's why. Because when you love someone, you don't want to inflict pain on them knowingly. And I know
you're doing
him,
it to me
and
right
I know.
now.
Well, I know his. Yeah, but you're not nuts. You'll be able to let it go. It'll roll off of you like what's the expression? Water off the duck. You're good at, you're good at letting horror roll off of you. I'm not, and Bob's not. And
I'm a sucker for drawn butter. I'll tell you that for sure. I am.
Yeah, I mean, for you, I feel like if there's enough butter or mayonnaise on it, you'd eat your own hand, But I know Bob, and if my imagination is bad, his is just as bad, and I just couldn't tell him.
Do you go? No, let me ask you this. Yeah. Let me ask you this. Yeah. Do you go to restaurants that serve a lot of wild game? Do you do that a lot?
There aren't really any near me, but I grew up eating wild game. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, it's okay. Then you're fine with that. You're fine with that. When I was camping the other week, and I got hooked up with those people, they're all big hunters and whatever. And when I invited us over for hamburgers, it was deer meat. But it was mixed with hamburgers. So, I mean, because you got to, because of the fat content. I was worried. That something wasn't going to go right for me because I had to really do some, prepping for that. But after that second bite, whew, daddy ready to go. It was awesome. It really was. It was good. But first couple of bites was iffy. But they were great. They were absolutely great.
So much of it's in your head. Like that business about lobsters being arthropods, that's in my head. Now the cicada shrimp is in my head. When I was in maybe 5th grade, my father was a hunter. He brought home an elk and he wanted my mother to cook the heart. Guys, I guess he was some great warrior or whatever. And, that's what was for dinner. And I, as a kid, I was like super duper grossed out, but yeah, I mean, I get it down, but I knew what I was eating, just like I know that lobsters are arthropods, but nobody tell Bob.
You read it once.
I don't believe that.
And then you read it again.
I can't believe this.
It's Bob and Sheri's.
I don't believe this.
I cannot believe this.
Please don't ask me why we're about to pay tribute to Chef Boyardee, because I don't know why we do anything at this point, but here we go. I fell down a rabbit hole about Chef Boyardee, and I want to give the man, I don't want to eat the canned SpaghettiOs, but I want to give the man a little respect. He was born in 1897 in Italy, and he was born knowing that he wanted to cook. By the time he was 11 years old, he was an apprentice in a local restaurant. He eventually went and worked in restaurants in Paris and London, and he had a brother named Paolo, and Paolo emigrated to the United States and was working as a waiter at the Plaza Hotel. And eventually, Paolo worked his way up to be maitre d', and that's when his brother, Ettore Boyardee, decided to join him. So Ettore also emigrated to the U.S., came through Ellis Island, and got a job as a kitchen helper at the Plaza Hotel. At this time, this is like 1914, y'all. Italian food is basically unknown in the United States. Everybody's all about, like, your fancy restaurants are all about French cuisine. So there he is. He's working at the Plaza, and he is cooking some Italian food, and the chef at the Plaza likes it, and they begin serving it on the menu, and customers really like it. And before you know it, he gets lured away to be the head chef at an Italian restaurant in New York. And then he connects with President Woodrow Wilson and was asked to cater their wedding reception at the Greenbrier, where that nuclear bunker was, Max, that we did the True Rich Stuff episode. And the president loved the food that Ettore Boyardee made for his wedding reception so much that he said, we're going to have an event for these World War I veterans, about 2,000 of them. Will you cook for them? And that was it. He was off to the races. He was only 22 years old, and he was already famous in the restaurant and culinary world. And all of these immigrants coming from Italy missed their food from home. And so Ettore decided that he would open his own restaurant along with his new wife, Helen. That went down in 1924. They called it the Garden of Italy. It was in Cleveland, Ohio. And he introduced Cleveland to Italian food. People lined up to eat at Boyardee's restaurant. They loved it so much that he began offering his sauce, his spaghetti sauce, in bottles to take home. He couldn't keep up with demand. And he realized, if we're going to do this, we're going to need to scale it up. So a local grocery store owner said, come on, I'll help you with it. And his brother Paolo moved to Cleveland to help. So they opened a canning and processing plant called the Chef Boyardee Food Company. And they sold like traditional spaghetti sauce and some spicy spaghetti sauce. But people struggled to pronounce the name because it was spelled Boiardi.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, are you Barut? So he said, all right, we're going to change the spelling to Boyardee, Chef Boyardee. At one point, I mean, it was a challenge. American farmers weren't growing enough tomatoes. They ended up having to move to Pennsylvania to be closer to the tomato fields. He had to import tons of olive oil. And at one point, Chef Boyardee was America's largest importer of Parmesan cheese. In addition to the sauce, he began rolling out these spaghetti dinner kits. The biggest grocery store chains in the country carried Chef Boyardee. That was the real Ettore Boyardee on the face of Chef Boyardee. That really was him. Pretty soon he was being advertised in magazines. And before you know it, the Italian food that he introduced to America was a staple. People all over the country were having spaghetti dinners. And he even used his factory to develop field rations for the Army during World War II. And he was running that thing with 5,000 employees 24 hours a day to meet the demand. He was selling like $20 million worth of Chef Boyardee products every single year. Wow. He died at 87 years old in 1985. Chef Boyardee today is a multi-million dollar enterprise, and it was all started by an immigrant from Italy in a tiny restaurant kitchen in Cleveland. And he said, I didn't love changing the spelling of my name. I was proud of my family name, but you do what you have to do if you want to succeed at the American dream.